Hi everybody, this is Professor Wagle. This is part lecture, part feedback on your technical style practice exams. I'm going to talk about the practice exam first. If you guys noticed, most of you got 100 if you did the work, right? Not everybody did the work exactly right, but you did do the work. You wrote the email, you edited the memo, you wrote a justification memo. If you did all these, you got the points for it, right? So let me talk about the first one first. The diplomacy, tone, and emphasis in technical writing practice exam. Most of you did a really good job of writing a short, to the point memo. Though some of you used a little bit of passive aggressive language, kind of reminding her, well, we are all busy, but you know what? If you are asked to do something and you have a deadline, you need to send something to me. It's okay to kind of be firm and strict with deadlines and reminding people that they haven't contributed and it's kind of impeding the work you're trying to do, right? That's perfectly fine. But again, in these contexts, diplomacy matters, tone matters, how are you writing, and emphasis matters. So writing it in a more polite tone. Hey, this spreadsheet was due yesterday. It's been 24 hours more, and I need to finish this work by the end of the day. What's the status on it? If you forgot about it, please send it to me within, say, 2 o'clock, by 2 o'clock, or within a couple of hours. Do you want me to come over and talk to you about this? What is going on? Do you need some help finishing this spreadsheet? Any of those things would be fine, right? So kind of trying to find out. And then how do you get emphasis in a technical writing or in a memo? Being specific. Emphasize, I need this spreadsheet by this specific time, right? Because I need to finish my report by this specific time and send it across. So things like that, just making it more emphatic, making it more diplomatic, but still getting the stuff done, right? So that's one of the first things. So most of you got 100 because all of you did the work. If you did not turn in anything, then you got a 0. This was a relatively easy one because it was a memo, it was an email, so you had to write it in an email format. Even then, some of you forgot to do the to from subject line date, right? Because I had asked you to do that. Okay, so that takes care of the first part. Let's talk about the technical style edit and justification memo. Now, most of you got 100 on there. Some of you might have got a 50, and that's a very few. I think maybe 2 or 3 in your class got a 50 on that. And I left a comment too. And the reason you did that, you got a 50, is because some of you either did only the edit of the letter that Willow was writing and did not write a justification memo. Some of you did the other way around. You just wrote a justification memo and did not do the edit. So be careful about that. It tells me that you did not read the instruction, you did not look at this video, you did not realize that you had 2 parts to an assignment, which is a major thing, right? But even if you got a 50, don't worry about it, because it's again small percentage of your overall grade. It's like 10% of total, all the things you do, quizzes and discussion posts and all that stuff. So that 50 is not going to make a major difference. Now, what is going to make a major difference is the assignments due today. So your assignments due today, the technical style assignments, the diplomacy, tone, and emphasis in technical writing, and the technical style edit and justification memo. Combine these 2 assignments, the final ones, right? The ones that are due this week. Combine these 2 assignments are worth 15% of your total grade. So if you don't do these assignments or you don't do them completely, your grades kind of suffer, right? So make sure you do both of those assignments properly. Now in the practice one, I realized that you guys, where it was asked that you write a memo to Willow, justifying your changes that you're suggesting she make. A lot of you wrote the memo kind of, because it wasn't a memo, because it wasn't in a memo format. You guys gave her the justification for the changes you were suggesting, but you did not write it in a memo format, right? I didn't take points off for that in the practice one because I realized, okay, at least you're writing something, you're giving some justification. So you are looking at that and writing two parts and doing those. But if you do the same thing in the final and you give a justification for your edits, but you don't write it in a memo format, I will take points off, right? So let's go through these two assignments that we have quick and see what all is required, right? So I'm going to walk you through both of these assignments. So I'm going to turn this camera around and just talk you through the two ones, right? Because you're writing two memos here and editing one. So it's a lot of work, but you should see that how the memos are written and how you should write those memos. So let's turn this around. Okay, so this is your assignments that are due this week. Let me move this here. Okay, diplomacy, tone, and emphasis in technical writing, final, right? This is the first assignment that you have. Now, this assignment asks you to write a memo to your boss justifying reimbursement for this course. Explain how the course will help you become more effective on the job. In particular, follow the guidelines for diplomacy, tone, and emphasis in business writing from your textbook 3.2. Okay, so it says 50 minutes, and I know some of you had trouble submitting these assignments for the practice ones. So I kind of went in and did some adjusting to the assignments, and I made it so that it's a file upload. It's not in a quiz format anymore. So it's easier for you to figure out how to upload the files. So I think it should be easier this time. But let's talk about the assignment. Write a memo. So make sure you write a memo to your boss, right? So I don't know who your boss is. You can make up one if you don't have one. Justifying why the company should reimburse them for this course. So again, in a memo, make sure you write a memo on top page in the center or left align with to, from, subject line, date, right? Make sure you do that. Your subject should be again specific. Reimburse for Tech Camp 2700 or reimbursement for technical writing course, course, right? Something specific. So make sure you do that, and then your memos, keep it short, right? Keep it short. Keep it kind of crisp. But keep it diplomatic. Keep your tone positive. And tell your boss why you think you should be justified. There's no wrong and right answer, right? Maybe they promised you that if you take some classes during the interview, maybe they promised you if you take some classes, they will reimburse you. Maybe you have been given a lot of technical writing work at your workplace, and you feel like this course will help you be a better communicator, right? There could be a number of reasons why they should reimburse you for that. I'm not going to grade you on what kind of reasons you have, right? It could be anything. It could be like, you're my dad and I'm working for you, but I feel like I need this skill. It could be anything. So think about what it is you want to do. Now let's talk about the next one, the technical style edit and justification memo final. Again, this one has two parts, right? You have two tasks. Look over here. You are again you're editing one memo and writing one justification memo. So this is download Swizzle's original memo and then edit it for diplomacy, tone, and emphasis, right? Once you edit it for style and tone, paste your revised memo under the original so I can see your edits. Once you edited the memo, write a brief memo to Swizzle, 200 to 250 words that summarizes your major editorial suggestions. Focus on justifying 2 to 3 primary improvements. So, a lot of you had trouble uploading too fast because it was a quiz format, it was all messed up. You don't have to do 2 files. Even in these assignments where I made it easy for you guys to upload, just do 1 file, right? So download Swizzle's memo, do the edits. Below that, turn off track changes and then write your memo, right? On the second page. That's all. So it's just 1 file, upload the file and you're done. Yeah. Now your memo, it says 250 to 300 words, right? That's not a whole lot, which is why, say you did 10 edit suggestions in Swizzle's memo, original memo. You don't have to list all of that because that'll take you over a page and a half, right? Just look at three. If you want to focus on, say, one diplomacy, one tone, and one emphasis, you can do that too, right? This memo has a lot of kind of sexist language, or it kind of has a language that kind of singles out people. Maybe you want to focus on that. The memo also has a lot of things in there that are not necessary, some parts that are not necessary. You could edit those out, right? It kind of does single out a lot of people for a lot of reasons. Not a good idea. The to line, the subject line are also problematic in this memo. So maybe you want to focus on those and talk about those, why you shouldn't do those, and what are the changes you're suggesting, right? So think about all those things when you're writing your justification memo. But again, focus on 2 or 3 changes that you would hope would make this memo better, and justify those besides all the other changes you would suggest in the original one, right? So that's all it is. So those are the 2 assignments you have due this week. The other one is a small one, which is emails and just going through, or sorry, resume assessment. This kind of assignment leads us to the next module for next week, which is writing resumes. So that's again another exciting one. We'll be done with memos for a long time after this. So this is your last week to do memos, last week to kind of correct other people's grammar. We'll get into resumes and LinkedIn profiles from now on. Okay, so just read your instructions again carefully, do your assignment carefully. You should be able to resubmit these assignments if you by mistake submit something that is an old file maybe, or whatever, right? Again, remember, 1 or 2 of my students in the last semester assume that the practice one and the final one are the same assignments, which they are not. So they submitted the same file that they had submitted for their practice, just they edited it a little bit more and submitted for final. These are 2 completely different memos that you're editing. These are 2 completely different memos that you are writing as a justification. So make sure you read these instructions very, very carefully before you upload something. Okay, that's all I have for you guys right now. Make sure to watch the other video on how to do the edits and all of that stuff for your justification memo and for your editing the memo. Okay, and that's it. I will talk to you guys soon. Have fun. The weather is nice. And hopefully we'll catch up soon, maybe by the end of the week. Okay, bye bye.